Hi, this is Chris Petri. Welcome. Good morning, and good evening, and good afternoon. We're going to paint flowers today. Flowers are one of the most exciting things for watercolor artists. You'll definitely realize, so many watercolor artists paint flowers, and I know the reason why they do is because it's such a fun, creative, and exciting subject matter that you can really, as a watercolor artist, just use all of the colors of your palette. You can draw and create all kinds of interesting shapes and paint the values and the colors that flowers offer. So really, it just offers you so much fun as a watercolor artist to create paintings with flowers and compositions too. You can do small comps and just practice up on flowers, or you can create finished paintings. Most people love flowers. They're exciting. Many paintings that you see on walls, flowers. Flowers are just a beautiful gift to the watercolor artist. So let's get right into it. Let's work from a photograph from one of our workbooks here. We have a workbook, and thankfully we have so many great artists that create workbooks and teaching books for us. And so this is the painting I'm going to work from right here. So we can kind of see that. It's like a table, and then the flower arrangement there. All right, so let's do that. Let's put this across the table from us. And I just have my table set up with my watercolor paper. I have some Arches rough paper. I have my palette. These are my standard colors. If you want to know my colors, really simple. You just type in My Palette by Chris Petri on YouTube. That'll take you right to the video that shows you all the colors I use. There might be a few more in addition to what's here. This is my sort of smaller palette I use when I do videos so that I can kind of show you what I'm doing with my palette and my mixing and so forth. But my palette that I use and my colors, I explain it in detail. Again, all you have to do is go to My Palette by Chris Petri, and you'll see all the cool colors I use, the different brands I use, and so forth. All right, so let's get right into it here. So first, before we break into the painting session, we're going to actually draw this scene. And again, we showed you in the beginning, you can always pause your video, take a picture of it if you want, and this way you can kind of have an idea of the arrangement that I'm going to work from. But basically, it's going to be a small pot of flowers here. This is a vase. So let's just start contour drawing it. Now here, if you feel like you need to do a preliminary sketch or a preliminary drawing, please do that. All that would be is going super light with your sketch. Let's just do it then. Let's go for it. Let's do our preliminary light sketch just to sort of get our layout of our design here, of our painting. Okay, so we got our vase. There's a table behind here, so we're going to have our table. And then here, let's see, we're going to have a little small jar. And then let's have a pencil over here. And we'll have the wall back here. Okay, let's get into the flowers here. Okay, so we're doing a preliminary sketch here. So we're not going for complete accuracy. We're just kind of getting the feel for what we're going to do for our final game plan and our final drawing. So here we go. We're just doing the preliminary drawing. Remember, this is great if you kind of feel like you need to sort of lay out your painting first before you go in and do the final drawing, just so you know you have everything all ready and set in the right place you want it. And we'll just do some more flower shapes here. And again, this is just a preliminary light sketch. You don't have to be exact, just an idea of where everything goes. And that's what we're doing. We're just kind of giving ourselves a nice roadmap so that when we go in and do the final drawing here, we know where everything goes for the most part, and we don't have to sweat worrying about, did I put this in the right spot? Am I going to go off the paper here and it's not going to look good? We don't have to worry about that. We're getting the general idea of what we have to do here. Okay, and then we're going to have and then here we might have a window or a mirror or a painting behind this. So it's a little abstract. Those of you who are like familiar with abstract painting, it's not as exacting as like super critical and realism. This is not like we're working a little abstract here. We're not into super realism here in this particular painting. So we're having a little bit of fun. We're not worried too much about the exact realism of things. Okay, that looks pretty good. And let's do a little cup over here. All right. And perfect. Look at that. Okay, now I did this preliminary drawing. Now what's great about the preliminary drawing is once you do that, sometimes you're going to find you don't really need to do a whole lot more. You might not need to go back in and contour draw everything again. But what I will do here is I will do a little more drawing just to get a few more ideas here. So over here I want to have a definite there's a daisy here in the picture, in the photograph of the original painting. So I'm going to get that in there. And then here I'll put in a little bit of the details of this flower on the left. It's a beautiful red flower. And then up here too as well. There's some details underneath this red flower up here. And there's another flower here. Let's do this one here. This is a purple flower. And again, you can always go back to the beginning and stop your video and take a picture of the video when I first show the original drawing, the original painting. This way you can work from that if you want, or you can work from this, or you can just pick any old. You can go onto anything on the web internet and you just type in flowers, red flowers, yellow flowers, white flowers, daisies. You can do roses, daisies, tulips. You can just pick any flower you really love. You might have a particular flower you like. You might not be interested in flowers whatsoever. That's fine too. You just type in pictures of flowers in a vase, or vase with flowers, flowers with a vase. You do little searches on the internet and you'll come up with all kinds of photographs. And then you just look at the photographs and then you kind of find which one you like the best, what you think would look good in a watercolor painting. Print it out on your printer if you have a printer. If not, you can just set up your wireless device with the picture on, with the picture up on your device. And you can start painting, and you can also put a piece of plastic over your device if you don't want to splash any paint on it or whatever. But in any case, that's how you would do it. So Or you can work from books too. If you have a couple watercolor books that have flowers in it, there's some great books out there on flowers. This particular book is, we'll take a look quick here. This is Flower Painting in Watercolor by Charles Reed. Any of Charles Reed's books I definitely always would say are great books to work from. There's tons of exercises. They're all explained. So this one here is totally explained step by step. There's all kinds of tons of explanations step by step how to do it. So that's all I'm doing is I'm taking this finished painting, which was like a 4 or 5 part work exercise in the book, and I did that. I just used the finished painting in the book, and we just go for it from there. Alright, so let's get started with the painting. I think we can, this will probably be a 2-part series, but we can start off here. We have plenty of time in the first part here to just start our painting. What I'll do is I will definitely start with the darks and then work from there. So here, let's start out. We're going to go with some, we'll make some darks. French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, mineral violet. And I'm going to sort of paint around this daisy. And this here, remember we call this negative shape painting. We paint around the object and it appears. Okay, so we'll mix in some our dark mixture with a little bit of mineral violet. And that's all we have to do. It's just a little bit of darks, and you can really start to see how the flower appears, the daisy here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to get some gold. And we're going to do some, that is yellow ochre. Maybe some raw sienna too there. And we'll put a little cerulean blue here too as well. So we'll kind of mix in some cerulean blue and mineral violet. We'll get some shadows on our flower too as well. Then we're going to get some olive green. We'll mix some greens in here, some olive green. We want to mix some greens in here. This is a flower arrangement, so usually there's always some greens in there. Some greens in the flower arrangement. Some nice, interesting green colors with the different plants. I'll do a little splashing. A little more shadows here. We could do some more shadowing. Okay, look at that. With some darks, we were able to kind of carve out and make a beautiful daisy there. And then we can go in and we'll cobalt blue maybe mixed in with our darks. And we'll just make some fun flower shapes. It doesn't have to be exact. We can just kind of flick the paint around a little bit. Here's the key point. Since we have this nice beautiful daisy we just painted here, we don't have to like make another flower right next to it. We could just have some fun, make some flower shapes that look sort of like flowers but doesn't necessarily have to be an exact flower that we're thinking of, because we already have this beautiful daisy right here. So now we can just go around it with some interesting shapes that look like flower shapes. And we save ourselves some time and some effort and some stress by just... Now here we're going to do some flower shapes. So we're going to take some French ultramarine blue, some mineral violet, some cerulean blue down here, some cerulean blue, a little bit of splashing, and we'll do some more over here. Let's change the tonal values. So you can see here I'm trying to change the tonal values with the flowers here. So we're kind of changing the tonal values here, some darks, some middle tones. Okay. All right, let's go up top here. We're going to do some French ultramarine blue, burnt umber, and let's do the stem. Okay, and then let's go in. We'll use some cadmium red. Then we can mix in a little bit of cad orange. A little bit of cad orange with that cad red, just to give a little change in the color. And there we go. Looking beautiful, some beautiful red flowers here. And we'll make another, we'll take some alizarin crimson now. Cad red, alizarin crimson, and cadmium orange. We'll make a nice mixture here. And we'll do some more. Beautiful red, maybe a little more alizarin crimson. A nice change in intensity of color and okay, and then we'll take this, we'll take a little bit of our dark mixture, go over here into this part of the palette, some of the dark mixture, pick up a little bit of the dark mixture, mix it with the red, and then we can get a little bit of a grayish red color. So we kind of take a little bit of that red and tone it down. And that looks interesting. So it's not all the same. We have some variations, some modulation. Things are going well here. We have plenty of interesting shapes and different colors. And we're happy. We're coming along here real good. Again, I'll go back in, maybe I'll add a little orange over here. Okay, and then we'll go back in, cad red. We'll go back to the cad red again. And then we are really having some fun here. So look at this. We're going to make some more purple and blue. And then if you go over a spot you didn't want to, lift it up with some tissue. And if that happens where something leaks onto your paper, not a problem. So never worry if you have a spill or something like that when you're doing watercolors. It's actually better. You'll have more of an interesting looking watercolor painting if you let little things like that happen on your painting. It's going to look like more variation, more dynamics to your painting. That's what I find. But you're the artist. You figure out what you like best and you paint the way you want to paint. Here, I don't mind those little marks like that. That to me is fun. I like it. So sometimes when those little things happen, not a big deal. Okay, so now we're going to go back in. Burnt umber, French ultramarine blue. We're going to do some nice darks here. Again, French ultramarine blue and burnt umber. That's about the two darkest values you can get to get a dark if you want. And you just have some fun, put it in there. And one more there. Okay, we're going to have to go to part 2 because we're going to run out of time here on our first part. Let's come back, we'll do part 2 and we'll keep working. We might have to make it a 3-part series, who knows. It's all fun, it's all good. We'll be back in just a minute.